session we will be discussing a new lesson, that is sustainable development of natural resources. So let's get started. So we have focused on a couple of words over here. One is sustainable and second word is natural resources. Substances which are available in our nature are called as natural resources. They are natural. They are available in the nature. For example, air, water, trees, mountains, oceans, soil. All these are natural resources. The second word is sustainable management. In class 9, we have discussed about how these resources are important. We discussed about how these are recycled in the nature regarding water cycle, carbon cycle, oxygen cycle, etc. So, in this lesson, we are going to deal with the management of these resources. If you look at the word sustainable, what does it mean? To sustain. So it means that we should be able to have it for a long period of time. The human population has been increasing rampantly. It is exponentially increasing. As the human population increases, our needs and desires also increase. So the demands will increase. So when it is difficult to balance the demand and supply, what happens or what has been happening is that human beings have started exploiting these natural resources. Because of the exploitation, there have been concerns of pollution and the after effects of pollution. For example, global warming is one big concern that the world faces today. These are all due to exploitation of the natural resources. In sustainable management, we talk about sustainable development, that is growth which takes care of the needs of the current generation without hampering or compromising on the needs of the future generations. This kind of growth is what is called as sustainable growth or sustainable management. And a third important aspect of sustainable development is that the environment should be protected when sustainable management is going on. So that is your sustainable development. As development takes place, environment is always at risk or threatened because we are dependent on our environment for everything that we need. For example, when human population increases, water is a very important resource. So potable water is a necessity for a growing population. Now, if you look at the river Ganga present in India, now this is a main river which supplies water to Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and from there it makes hundreds and thousands of trajectories. If you look at the fate of Ganga today, it is one of the most polluted rivers in the world, Ganga as well as Yamuna. Why has this happened? All activities of human beings, right from bathing, washing clothes, washing the animals, throwing dead bodies into river Ganga, toxic outlets from factories, all these are dumped into river Ganga, due to which Ganga has been polluted. Now, how do we know that it is polluted or not? Of course, you can visually look at the color of the water. You can also go for chemical tests called as BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, or in simple ways, you can just go for checking the pH of water. pH of pure water should be around 7, neutral. So if the pH is way acidic or way basic, it is an indication that the water is polluted. That would be the chemical nature of water, the biological nature of water. Water could also be contaminated by pathogens, that is microorganisms. The presence of E. coli bacteria, Escherichia coli. E. coli bacteria is seen in the intestine or in the gut of animals. It is not normally present in water. If you detect or find E. coli in water, it indicates that water is contaminated. How did it get into water? Through the excreta, through the human or animal excreta. When it is mixed with water, this E. coli bacteria will get into water. Now, drinking such water, consuming water from such contaminated sources can be the cause of diseases like dysentery, diarrhea, etc. You can also find other species of Vibrio cholerae causing cholera. So, these are the ways to detect whether the water is polluted or not. Government has taken many measures in this aspect. In the year 1985, the Ganga Action Plan, later it was revived in 1990. The main objectives are to reduce the input of pollutants into water, and also the second objective would be to treat the water, purify the water by primary and secondary treatment, thus reducing the pollution levels of river Ganga. This we are discussing in the context of how, based on our dependency on the environment, we human beings tend to overexploit and destroy environment or destroy the natural resources. This is one such example. So the next topic for discussion is why to manage natural resources. Of course, the first and foremost reason would be resources are limited. Once these resources get exhausted, it would take millions of years to revive them or regenerate them. And in that circumstance, the resources will not be available to the future generations. Because resources are present in limited amount in nature, we have to manage the natural resources. We have to use them in a much more planned and efficient manner. The second reason to manage natural resources would be to, of course, all this will come under sustainable development, preserve the resources for future generations. That is one of the aims of sustainable development, to have resources for us and also to conserve and preserve the resources for the future generations. Connected to the second point is another interesting point, that is resources should be equitably distributed. Now please note, it is not equal, it is equitable. It means that resources should not be present in the hands of a few rich people. It should be available to all the people, irrespective of their finances or other factors. Now this is a very concerning issue. The developed nations, like for example Russia, USA, they have a hold on most of the natural resources, and they also tend to exploit the underdeveloped countries for their natural resources. So there should be an equitable distribution of natural resources. Take for example oil. Most of the oil resources in the world, they are concentrated in the Siberian continent, or this side we have in the Saudi, Arab, Bahrain, Qatar, those regions. So the oil resources are concentrated in a particular area. Because of that, these nations tend to have a monopoly on this natural resource. They control the cost of the oil, the cost of the petrol or diesel that we consume. Environment should be protected. In some place we have found a mine, let us say iron ore mine. So in mining, what happens? Huge machinery, they come and they dig the earth. So what happens is the dug out mud and earth, the soil, it has to be transported to some other place. For that, if suitable area is not available, what do? They cut down the trees and forests to make land for this. Not only that, when you are processing the metal or the ore, large amount of water is required, and this wastewater needs to go somewhere, and that can also cause degradation of soil, and it can also destroy the natural habitat of such a certain plants living in the area. So mining is one such activity where we can see that both the soil as well as the forest resource can be destroyed. So when we are using the natural resources, we should do it in a responsible manner so as to not damage the environment. Now, because of these 4 reasons, we should manage the natural resources. Let us answer the next question: how to manage? So both these are important questions. You might wonder what contribution you as a student, individual, can do in order to contribute your bit to the management of natural resources and indirectly in saving the environment. As they say, drops make up ocean. The simplest action that you can take can directly or indirectly matter in saving the environment. What are these simple measures that we can take? So those are your 5 R's. The first R is refuse. Saying no to things that we don't need. For example, most of the times we have wants or desires. We want that, we want this. But we should think before we purchase items that we may not require in the long run. We have to make a judgment on the short-term benefits and the long-term benefits. After refusing, we have reducing. That is, we use the resources less. It's not useless, it is use less. That is, using only when it is required. For example, switching off the fans when it is not required, that can save electricity. A tap is leaking and water is getting wasted, so getting the tap repaired, therefore we can reduce the wastage of water. Reusing. So this is using the same item again and again. For example, you have a polythene bag at your home which is strong enough. So instead of disposing it in the dump or throwing it away, we can use it again and again. So the fourth R is repurpose. Repurpose. Originally or initially, this particular item or substance was bought for a different reason. Now that it is no longer available for that reason, we can use it for some other reason. For instance, when your glass jars or glasses are broken, we tend to throw them away. But instead of that, what we can do, we can try to use using a sandpaper, we can smoothen the edges and we can use it as a pen stand or a flower vase. So repurpose, finding new uses for already existent items. So we can do it for mostly plastic items, glass items and also metal items. Instead of throwing them, disposing, we can repurpose them. And the last R, that is recycle. Once you have done all this, and the last step would be to recycle. Now, reusing or all these four are better than recycling. Recycling, when compared to these four, is not good because at some point of time it uses energy. Let us say you want to recycle plastic, or you want to recycle some metal or some glass. All these metals should be segregated. The segregation is required for recycling. It could also include labor, money, etc. So reusing is always better than recycling. So these are the two reasons. So by following these 5 R's, we can contribute our bit in managing the natural resources. So for doing all this, we may have to alter our choices. We may have to make certain small sacrifices. For example, it may not always be convenient to use old items, but keeping in mind the long-term goals, long-term gains, that is what we asked over here. Do we really require it? Will it be really essential in the long term? By taking a particular decision, am I destroying or am I contributing in damaging the environment? So if the answers are yes, then we need to reconsider our thinking and we have to reconsider our choices so that we can always have long-term gains. Human beings always tend to think short-term. We are very narrow thinking. We do not think very far ahead in the future, especially when it comes to matters of environment. We think that economic development is more important, growth is more important. It is definitely true, but economic development has to go hand in hand with environmental protection. If the environment is not protected, of course it will have a negative impact on the economic development. For example, in our over-exploitation of, let us say, minerals, let us talk about coal, petroleum, etc. Imagine a world where these resources are completely exhausted. What would happen? What would be the economic condition then? When we do these two things, the how becomes very easy and the why becomes very clear in our mind. Why should we manage the resources? That's all for today. In the next session, we will discuss about natural resources like forest, water in detail. Thank you.